A lot of people are very curious about what full-time music producer is like, especially in my country. It's usually the norm to be employed by a certain company, and a lot of eyebrows are raised like, what does that mean? What do you do? So here is what I do as a Christian music producer, songwriter, sole proprietor, entrepreneur type person. Being only about a year into doing this, I am still trying to build my routine. It really is different every day, I would say. There are some days that I wake up early, there are some days that I kind of wake up late. There are a lot of factors to that. Sometimes I wake up early because I have a 9 a.m. call, since a lot of the people that I talk to are people from the US, which has like 12 to 15 hour time difference from where I live, so I usually am the one who adjusts in the morning. So currently it is 1 p.m. and early this morning I decided to have my quiet time, and for that I always keep it as open-ended as possible. Sometimes it requires me to really dig in the word and really meditate on something and reflect on something, and I try not to limit that because I do believe that that is the most important part of my day, really getting all of that heavenly and like godly wisdom in me that gives me this eternal perspective, this abundance mindset. I really try to apply that wisdom, whatever it is that God teaches me on that very day, and try to really apply it in my business, try to see how I can apply it as I create, how I deal with other people, how I serve other people, and on how I make decisions as well. How do I walk with God in this day that He's already prepared for me? It just makes me feel like much more peace, and it allows me also to love and serve other people way better. Then afterwards, I try to list down and look at the stuff that I need to do for the day. I usually use my Google Calendar. I've been using that for a long time. I usually try to use time blocks. There's a certain block of time for creative things, and then there's a block of time for like more back-end work, admin stuff, and business-related stuff. But sometimes, like today, I get backlogged with everything that I have to do. Usually that happens whenever I'm way too ambitious or completely underestimate the energy that I can't sustain for a long period of time. I try to make sure that at least for one day I take a break and just rest and not do any work, but sometimes I cheat on weekends, so that means I have to offset my rest day during the week. There are lots of things that we can do. There can be a million things to do, right? But then you have to choose the very small number of them that will really move the needle for you, and a lot of them are just noise anyway, and you could do some other time. So it's so important to set my top 3 mission critical things every single day and just focus on today and let tomorrow worry for itself. So for now, what I would do, which is what I do at the last week of every month, is send out my newsletter. I like to include a certain article or a blog post that actually adds value to my email subscribers. So now I'll do some actual work and I'll get back to you in a bit. Hey Siri, set a timer for 15 minutes. With my mom, and this time need some water, get back to work. So I'm currently on break, and I actually just wanted to share one of the problems of somebody who does some type of work where you're not really accountable to anyone is you could just keep on creating stuff, keep on working, and have no boundaries, have no time limits. I mean, for me, I don't have like a family that I take care of, so one of the disciplines that I really need to enforce is setting time limits and making sure that I get water and a lot of breaks, so like you have longevity in the way that you work. Okay, so little update. It's been about 2 hours since I started working on my newsletter. I finished like most of it already in terms of content. It's really interesting. It's really interesting how a short piece of content, sometimes it really does take such a long time for you to do it. It really does take a lot of work, and sometimes we kind of take that for granted, I guess, like to judge that, you know, oh, they just did that I can do that too. But really there are like a lot of things that go into something as simple as a newsletter. I could just mindlessly pour in a million things on there, but then it wouldn't really be valuable to the people who read it. So that's why I really think about what goes in there, and I also prepare like all the visual assets that go with it. So actually, let me show you what's on my screen right now. So this is my Notion workspace. So I use Notion for a bunch of my business stuff, and my business name is actually Salt Music Production, but that's just kind of the trade name that I go with. So I really use Notion to dump all of my ideas on there and organize them. On Notion is where all of my songs are, all of the checklists I have, and for pretty much all of my self-made visuals, I just use Canva. Canva is so powerful. I actually just have the free version, but I have some friends who have the premium version who help me out. And I finally finished that freaking newsletter. How long was it? It was like 3 hours or something. I just sent my test email, thought it looked pretty good, and now it's sending in a few hours. So if you got it, then you know what's up. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and take a walk, and I'll take you with me. A lot of times, a lot of solo entrepreneurs actually forget to take care of their health, and I confess that I am one of those people. That's why I'm really making time to get out, get some natural fresh air, see some distance above my head beyond the ceiling, or in this case, the bottom of my bed, and actually look beyond and see the sky. And I usually use this opportunity to listen to podcasts. And I love taking in new information, but I noticed that every time I do that, it's usually just me sitting around and listening or taking notes. But I discovered that I could actually hit two birds with one stone. Usually when the day is almost over, I try my best to stay away from working too much until sleeping time, because what usually happens if I keep on working until it's time to sleep is that I actually have a hard time sleeping, and my mind is too restless because it keeps on hatching a bunch of ideas. And so even though I have one more thing on my to-do list today, that thing is actually a pretty major thing, so I probably overestimated what I could do today, and I'll just do that tomorrow. But I will be honest, I did spend quite some time watching a few videos. 2.5 hours just passed by. My days have a lot of variation, especially in the afternoon to the evening. But one thing that's really constant is me spending time with God every single day and really journaling a lot. I think that's something that is crucial for any Christian, really, whether or not you're doing this as a solo entrepreneur or if you're full-time working for a company. You constantly need to be checking yourself if you're in constant communication with God all throughout the day. If there's anything that I want to share of a tip, that would be the secret. But yeah, I think I'll end it here. That's it for literally a day in my life. I hope you enjoyed this type of video, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments. And if you're interested in watching a silent video of me making a beat, click this video right here.